All right, here's our third video for lesson 1.5. In this one, we're going to be looking at long division. So I went ahead and wrote down a number of different forms for this problem. Now, I'm going to put in the original form, so if I do 15.4 divided by 0.7, move that over here so you can see it, my answer is 22. But what if I took these decimals and I moved them both over one? So instead of 15.4, it became 154. And I moved this over, instead of 0.7, it became 7. So what if I do 154 divided by 7? Same answer. What if I move the decimals over another time? So I move the decimal over here, have to fill the empty space with a 0. Same thing here. So 1540 divided by 70, same answer. What if I move the decimals backwards? So instead of having it here, in between the 5 and 4, I put it in front of the 5. And here I moved it one more over, and now I have 0.07. 1.54 divided by 0.07. Same answer. I'll do it again. Move the decimal one more time to the left. 1.54 divided by 0.007. Same answer. My point is, if you move the decimal in the same direction the same number of times, your division answer doesn't change. Now, why is that important? Well, of all of these, which one looks like the easiest to use? I would say the one with no decimals. That's bigger. So this is like the smallest version with no decimals. So I would just put a 7 out here and a 154. That's going to be much simpler than trying to do this. Now, with that, I want to talk about why did I put these here. If you were to read this, you would say 154 divided by 7. Divided by. That by is important. Divided by 7. If you're dividing by 7, 7 goes by the box, not in the box. So that's why the 7's here. So the 154 goes inside. And now to do our division, 1's too small. You have to have a number that's bigger. So we're going to go to the next one. So we're going to take a look at 15. How many 7's are there in 15? Well, if I do multiples of 7, I have 7, I have 14. 21's too big, right? So 2 7's would be as big as I could get without going over. So 2 times 7 is 14. Draw your line and make it a subtraction problem. And then we're going to do our subtraction, and we'll get a 14 there. We do subtraction, we get a 1, And then once again, 1's too small, so we need to bring down the next number. And so we get a 14 again. So once again, 2 times 7 is 14, and we get our 0. Once you have a 0 and there are no other numbers left, then you're done. All right, we'll go and take a look at the next problem. So same type of thing here. I'm going to just move these over so I don't have any decimals at all. So now I have 246 divided by 3. Since I'm dividing by 3, 3 goes by the box, which means 246 goes in the box. Then we do our division again. 3 doesn't divide into 2, too small. 3 does go into 24, 8 times, because 8 times 3 is 24. Draw your line. You get a 0, right? So we need to bring down the next number. 3 does go into 6, 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. We do the subtraction, and we get 0. So 82 is our answer here. And 22 is our answer there. So that's your process for long division. If you're doing it on the calculator, please remember you are just typing in your problem exactly as it appears here. 15.4 divided by 0.7. And a lot of times I'll have people want to put in this number first. Nope, you just go this way. Just go left to right, type it in as exactly how it appears. There's your 22. And then your 24.6 divided by your 0.3. And there's your 82. All right, let's flip. All right, now we're looking at problems for you to do on your own. So go ahead and solve these two problems. Pause the video, solve your problems, and then unpause, and we can see how you did. All right, so hopefully you saw these and moved your decimals over one, so now you have nice, neat numbers. We'll start with this division here. So 3, how many 3's will go into 8? Well, 2 will, right? 2 times 3 is 6. I can't do 3 times 3 because 9 would be bigger, right? So we're trying to find the biggest one without going over. It's kind of like the Price is Right. 8 minus 6 is 2. And then that is smaller. That's a good indication that you found the right value. And then you're going to have to bring down the next number to do your next step. Now, how many times does 3 go into 21? 7 times, because 7 times 3 is 21. And that gives you your 0. And so these problems are nice because they divide evenly. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes these go on for a real long time. But for these ones, we kept it pretty simple. All right, and now we'll do the last one here. 5 does not divide into 2. It's too small. 5, how many multiples will get us close to 24? Well, if I do 4 times 5, I get 20. If I do 5 times 5, I get 25. That's too big. So the 4 times 5 for 20 is the biggest multiple of 5 without going over. So we'll then subtract that. 24 minus 20 is a 4. This is smaller, a good indication we did it right. And now we'll bring down our next number to do our last step, which is 5 goes into 45 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. So those wind up being our two answers. And then once again, we'll just confirm those on our calculator. For this one, 8.1 divided by 0.3 is indeed 27. And our 24.5 divided by 0.5 is our 49. So those answers are consistent with our calculator. All right, excellent. So we only have a little bit more to cover. I'm going to go ahead and continue this since we're only about 7 minutes in. I'm going to do this next section here and then stop and there'll be an additional video for the last part. So here, when we're talking about working with percents, we always convert our percents to decimals or fractions to use them. So here, if I have a 35%, remember that is a 35 over 100. This can be simplified. So if I do my fraction here, and I do 35 in the top and 100 in the bottom, it reduces to 7/20. How did they get that? Well, you'll notice each of these is divisible by 5. So 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. And so that gives you your 7/20. That's what your calculator did to get that value. If you want, that's as a fraction. If you want this as a decimal, just move the decimal twice. So you can take your 35%, you can move the decimal over here to get a 0.35. That's one way to do it. Or you can just do 35 divided by 100 on a calculator. Thirty-five divided by 100, and we see it does give us that 0.35. All right, or if you look at this, we talked about this in an earlier lesson. If you have 100 in the bottom, that means it's these two numbers are behind the decimal, right? So if we said it was a 0.35, that means that was 35 hundredths. If it was a 0.3, that's out of 10, that'd be like a 3/10. But if you have 2 decimals, then it's over 100. If it's 3 decimals, it's over 1,000. So you could use that thinking as well to get to that 0.35. Let's take a look at this one here. We're good. So for this one here, we're doing decimal to percent. So if I give you a 0.72, well, we know that is 72 over 100 because it's 2 decimals, right? 2 values after the decimal, rather. And so that means we're going to be over 100. And this 72 over 100 literally means 72 per 100, which is 72%. So that's a nice, easy way to go when converting decimals to percents and fractions. So I want you to convert this percent to a decimal and that decimal to a percent. So go ahead and pause your video, do those, and then I'll cover the answers. All right, so hopefully we're done on this. This one's a tricky one. This one is tricky. It's 8% or 8 per 100. Now, if you do 8 divided by 100, you get 0.08. And so I get a lot of answers of 0.8. But 80% is 80 over 100, which is 0.8 or 80. So this has to be a different answer because 8% is much smaller than 80%. And so we got to be careful to not just throw a decimal in the front. When we convert, we would move the decimal 2 times, right? And that's why you get that 0. You have to fill that gap with the 0. For this one here, we're going to convert this to a percent. So to convert to a percent, you can from a decimal to a percent, you can multiply it by 100. So you could do 0.456 times 100, and that's going to give you a 45.6%. That works. You could just move the decimal twice. That's what multiplying by 100 does, is it just moves it twice. So if you just want to move it twice and not go through the times 100 part, you can just do that to get your 45.6%. All right, that is going to be the end of this video. There should be one more left.